record again. So remember, for the lab this week, it's going to be occlusion. I'm going to have videos. There's already videos up in the older phys lectures that you can watch, but I'll have more recent ones using the nicer cuffs that we have. So you'll see how you can do it with either like kind of a knee wrap if you need to, or you can do it with the manual cuffs that we have and going those reps to failure. The nice BFR equipment is in the athletic training room. Technically, more than one of those is the property of the lab, but they're obviously using it with athletics, so I wouldn't try to get that unless you're already over in athletics. Those of you guys that are volunteering in it, you could go ahead and then try to use it with your own exercises and be prepared to ride the lightning. It's pretty darn uncomfortable. So the first question that we have today, okay, we got two, effectively, what's negative feedback? And then the next question we have, which is interesting, is effectively, how does altitude affect our performance? Long story short, it makes it suck. Specifically because the partial pressure of oxygen is going to be lower as we get up higher in the air. So what's going to happen is effectively we're not able to get as high of an oxygen saturation level inside of our blood. So then that AVO2 difference is going to shrink. And since the AVO2 difference is shrinking, the way that we're going to make that up metabolically is literally by pumping more blood around the body, aka our cardiac output is going to go up. So let's say we'd have a VO2 max of 50. When you're at altitude, just because that partial pressure of oxygen is lower, you're not going to be able to hit that 50. You're going to probably top out more at 40 something, but your heart is going to be working maximally, pumping that blood around your body. The key is we're just not saturating with as much oxygen. So once again, you tend to suck and it no feel good. So let's just go Wikipedia. Rock and roll. So I've always perpetually have too many tabs open on my computer. So I'm going to lower that number open and let's go ahead and now share the screen. So this is just the actual, like, from Wikipedia, what is negative feedback? And really what we're talking about essentially is a system where the results, okay, are going to then go back to the beginning, where it in turn is going to lower the amount of inputs we have. So we have the input, we have whatever process occurs, which gives us the output. Now, part of that output gives us the negative feedback where it goes, and it's going to modify, so we're not going to have this occur as much. So yeah, this would be an example of glucagon bringing our blood sugar down, and then, or sorry, glucagon bringing our blood sugar up, and then insulin bringing our blood sugar down. It's just once we hit certain thresholds, the body's going to respond to bring itself back into homeostasis. So, let's see if I got any other fun pictures in here. The history of it. Obviously, how it occurs in the body with our hormones, with our energy production, with pretty much every single system in the body. Yeah, good old math, which we're not going to worry about because that's more from true science. Hey, how cool is this? This is literally the Balcock float valve. This is literally how toilets work. So as it raises up high enough, it shuts off the water so it quits filling. When you flush, the water level goes down, which then makes this go fall over, which in turn opens the valve and allows water to fill the tank. Negative feedback. We literally got to do potty humor today. What other questions you guys want to go ahead and review on? You do get some adaptation, and that's something we didn't really spend a lot of time on in the class. So we're going to have a better buffering capacity. So we're going to be able to deal with more of that anaerobic metabolism. That's one adaptation. We're going to be releasing more erythropoietin because our oxygen saturation levels are lower. So we're going to literally increase our hematocrit if we're up there for long enough. And we're talking about weeks you need to be at altitude. So you're going to adapt to the best of your ability, but like anything else, there's a ceiling. You can only adapt so far to any stressor that's placed on the body. So you might get better at being at altitudes, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to walk up Mount Everest without oxygen, because simply we can only adapt to certain levels of these changes. Effectively, the homework quizzes that are meant to be extra credit are the ones that we did not cover. So that's going to be the, should be 19, 20, 21, and I think I put some 13 questions on there as well. But you do need to make sure you're taking the homework quizzes for the chapters 17 and 18, which can be working with the young and the old. Ergogenic aid is something that allows you to perform more work, something that's going to help your performance. And so obviously when we think of ergogenic aids, you can obviously think of using supplements. You can also think about using things like a lifting belt if you're lifting weights, wearing cleats if you're playing a field sport, things that are going to allow you to perform a little bit better than you would have otherwise. So let's go ahead. Would you guys like to review using some older questions, meaning not going to be on the final? Well, maybe things that are similar, but it's at least going to help you think your way through them. Groovy. Okay, so resume share. Hey, notice this was in the previous iteration when I would actually make students take 3 exams. It just seemed like it was taken away from too much time in the class, so we didn't get to lecture as much, and I felt that we weren't going as deep as I'd prefer. So I obviously switched over to the method I've done now, which is we're just doing the final and then lots of quizzes in between. Okay, so all of you guys, can you guys read what's on here? Okay, notice this is exam 3 final. This is from the, I believe it's the fall of 2016. So it's a bit old, okay? But let's go ahead and work our way through them. So the first thing we're gonna do is divide you guys up into, we've got 9 of you today, so we'll go ahead and set up into 3 groups of 3, okay? Now, I want all of you guys in those groups to try to answer number 1. Okay? Think about all the different aspects. We're going to come back. We're going to see what each of those groups, what you guys came up with. You guys are going to put your answer into the chat like you would write your answer in on this exam. And then we're going to go through it and think about what we didn't put in there that we should have, and obviously what we did a good job talking about. So, any questions before I send you guys into some breakout rooms to start working on these questions? Well, there's no current questions, so we'll see how this goes. It's 1:36 right now. Plan on coming back. I don't know if you guys need a full 10 minutes. Plan on coming back before 1:45. Try to have a good working idea, and then we'll see how you guys did. So whenever you're ready, guys, go ahead and hop in those groups, and then we'll go ahead and obviously see what you guys came up with, give you guys some feedback as to obviously how close you were to hitting the nail on the head. As the answers you guys put in there one by one. Courtney's group, good. Remember, type 2 fiber, we need to talk about which of those fast twitch fibers are the ones that are really getting the hypertrophy, and which of those hybrid fibers are converting in what way. Absolutely correct, there'd be hypertrophy. You would see neurological changes. Remember, we're going to see changes in those energy systems also related to strength power. Yes, it would be 2A, absolutely, Courtney. So we need to make sure that we're addressing that. Not necessarily gain more oxygen, but remember you would increase capillarization. Technically that's outside of the muscles, so keep that in mind. But You see changes in mitochondrial concentrations, enzymes related to aerobic performance, and fiber type again, along with storage, excuse me, of both glycogen and fatty acids. Likely your muscle body really wouldn't increase in size from aerobic style training. So now looking at Abby's group, yes, kind of the same thing that you guys need to make sure you're touching on as well. You would likely gain in strength and size from just doing a lot of resistance exercise. Otherwise, why are you lifting weights if it's not actually helping you get any better at it? Good. You guys did touch on that with the aerobic part. And yes, you would see a conversion more to type 1, and then your 2 fibers would convert more to 2A, along with gaining a greater amount of aerobic capacity. So, okay. Group 3, where's your guys' answer? So make sure we're talking about fiber type, energy systems. We're talking then about, with energy systems, the ability to store different nutrients. So we should talk about increased creatine phosphate stores from resistance training, increased glycogen in general. Oh, nice job. I like the formatting. And making sure that we're touching on briefly the neurological components that are going on, but that's technically a little bit outside of the muscle as well. No, it's okay, guys. Notice it's a lot. And that's why when you guys go and you take this final, you're going to be sitting down and thinking these things through and making sure that we're putting and thoroughly answering each of these questions. So you guys still did a fine job for the period of time I just gave you guys to work on this. Do you guys want a couple more minutes for the next question we're going to do? Because we're going to go straight on to number 2. All right, just because I haven't picked on you for a while, but you're in here. Caitlin, would you like more than 10 minutes to answer for working in groups on the next question, or is that more than enough? Noah, any strong feelings? Awesome. So let's plan on giving you guys 10 minutes and we'll go at least 10 minutes. So it's 1:49, plan on pretty much 2. Okay, I'll hit close room at 1:59. Really think this through. So when the cardiovascular system, you need to think about the 3 different components there. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what they are. You should be able to remember them. If not, you're going to work with each other. How quickly does each of those systems adapt? Okay, so how long do we take till we get a really good, significant adaptation? And there are different timelines for each. Okay, which is going to adapt in general, meaning it gets better no matter what type of aerobic training we're doing, and what gets only better specifically considering the exercise we're doing. So take your time, think your way through it, guys. You've got another about 10 minutes to work your way through it. We'll meet back, we'll go through it, and we'll figure out where you guys came up a little bit short, where you guys need a little bit more information. So hop in those groups when you're ready. They should be open again for you. And we'll go through your results, which you guys come up with once the time elapses. So let's go ahead and see what you guys came up with. Okay, so the greater blood flow is going to be more or less the fact of the stroke volume and then the better capillarization. So Holly, you're getting into the right points. You just have it organized a little bit differently. And the timeline for those blood adaptations is about the first 2 weeks is where we see the increase in plasma protein, so increased plasma volume. And then it's after about 1 full month of hard, consistent training, we're going to see that red blood cell compensation. That's good. Hypertrophy in that we're increasing the size of the left ventricle actual vessel. But we can also, yeah, a little bit of increase in the myocardium. Just make sure you're specific to what part of the heart that's getting that hypertrophy. Okay, yeah, no, I see it later on. My apologies. That's something that's going to probably take anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half of hard training. And then same thing with capillarization to really get those changes. Okay, yeah, you do start to see like that decrease in resting blood or resting heart rate within the first week of training. You'll see like a loss or resting heart rate going down like maybe 1 beat per minute. But as far as, yeah, over long periods of time, that's a different story. Courtney, making sure that we're really thinking that through. Um, yeah, remember we get our increase in vessel number through interception and branching. So branching is where we just branch off and create a new one. Interception is where we take one and then split it into two. Yeah, and the blood vessel changes, that's going to take even longer because that is a real chronic adaptation. Now, none of you guys touched upon what's general and what's specific. So which two parts of our cardiovascular system always adapt in general to any type of, hard, consistent aerobic style training? Yes, exactly, Courtney. Your heart and your blood are going to adapt in general, whether you're getting in better aerobic shape from rowing, swimming, running, biking, skating, hula hooping, don't care. That's going to have a positive effect on those two. The specific is going to be exactly, Abby, and those muscles are going to be the muscles that you're using and the fibers inside of those muscles that you're using for whatever athletic endeavor you're doing. So good work there, guys. Good work. Okay, so we got a couple, yeah, we got a couple multiple choice because obviously back in the day I was lazy and decided to just do multiple choice questions on my exam. So who wants to go ahead, do the number and then do the letter that you think is the right answer? We'll kind of work through these as a group. Great job, guys. 3 is definitely A. And remember, guys, ergolytic is something that decreases work ability. So that can be, certain drugs are going to decrease your ability to do work. Obviously, some of them are ergogenic, where it does increase your ability, but not obviously drugs do it. So hence, we're looking at the more clinical answer. Mm-hmm. So the placebo effect, guys, remember, is effectively our own psychology into tricking ourselves into it. Technically, it's also F, and I like the joke there, Noah. I hope it's a joke. But the placebo is, once again, us effectively tricking ourselves into thinking something's working, irregardless of the reality of it actually working. And placebo effects are very, very potent things. And remember, so is the flip side of that, which is the nocebo effect, which is your mind effectively tricking you into the opposite, thinking that something is hurting you or getting in your way of being successful. So what are you guys thinking for 5? And this is where I'm going to monster because both of you guys are correct. Because remember, it works like the sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system by working like epinephrine, which is a hormone. Evil, right? Yes. Beta blockers are going to slow you down. And that's a good thing if you're doing things like archery, rifle, anything that's a massively high skill, like focus, accuracy based sport, you're probably going to gain some advantage from doing beta blockers because you can't have a hard fight or flight response. You don't have to worry about nerves being too nervous because of, one event that's occurring in the sport because you're drugged. And what about 7? Yes, that's one thing caffeine's going to do. Yes, except for the counterbalancing all the alcohol you're drinking, Colleen. Sorry, Abby. Wow, Abby, I would not have thought you would answer it that way. No, I'm kidding. But really, yes, it's going to increase our pain tolerance. It's going to help us free up more fatty acids, which is useful for aerobic performance, and increasing contractility, which is useful for strength power performance. And obviously, if you don't feel as much pain, everything in life is easier. Good. So then what do we have for 8, guys? Yes, exactly. So it's going to help increase our hematocrit, improve our athletic recovery, and does seemingly have a little bit more of an effect on our type 2 fibers than our type 1. Mood stabilization actually helps for guys that have low testosterone, and getting to normal testosterone, that actually does help with mood. But as far as the hyper, the dosages pro bodybuilders and otherwise are taking, the data is not really there. I've seen a couple poster presentations, but nothing that's really, it's built enough confidence in me that I feel comfortable making any sweeping statements. And then number 9. And actually, guys, number 9 is actually all of the above. It improves our tendons, our collagen, so just our overall, not just our connective tissues, but also our meniscus and other pads. It's actually going to improve our bone mineral density. In certain cases, it actually does improve visual acuity. Okay. So it's 2:09. You guys can see the other questions we have here. We can keep working our way through this just as kind of a proxy to help you guys go through some of the more recent information and thinking about the application. But we'll let you guys out a bit early so you guys can get on with your life. Do you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns as far as reviewing you'd like me to touch on? Otherwise, when we meet back here on Monday, whatever questions you guys have, we're going to go through them. And then worst case scenario, we can look at some older exams as ways to kind of give you an idea of what may be coming down the pipe. Yes, Curtis, thank you. The lab will be in Weaver where we're doing the blood flow restriction stuff. You can look at the previous examples of how to use a knee wrap to set that up. I'm going to try to shoot a video later and put that on of doing it with with occlusion cuffs that are hand pumped that I will be leaving in the phys lab that you guys will be able to use effectively all day on Thursday or before lab on Friday. So, and if we're feeling saucy, worst case scenario, we can actually just go down to the lab in Weaver. You know what, let's just do that. Let's go down to the lab in Weaver. Go through, test it out, see how you guys do. I would prefer if you guys try to perform the lab, but like anything else, yeah, let's enjoy some wonderful BFR together. And by enjoy, that's not the term whatsoever. Yes, I'll record it in the video, but for those of you that can't commute and get here, you guys have another option, but those are guys that are able to come by. Let's actually get you guys do some hands-on stuff and see how it rolls. So, any other questions, comments, concerns? Yeah, just do it on Friday. Like I said, if you want to do it early, great. If you want to do it in lab, great. And if you guys just can't get here from wherever you're at, do it on your own based on the video that I'll get up for you guys. Yeah, Lord knows we all need things these days to make life a little bit less stressful. So stay safe out there, guys. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys back. If not in person on Friday, see you guys obviously in online on Monday. Bye bye.